Very good. Why don't we begin? All right, welcome everybody. We've got two visitors with us. John, welcome. And Holly, and welcome back, Darren, from an adventure or two. So, okay, well, if you know, if you've been tracking with the emails and the agenda and stuff, we've got a couple of things that are sort of different today. We've got two sets of finances to look at, June and July financials that Margaret talked about. We did have a disaster with the minutes last time because the hour recording wasn't working, so Darren and I pieced together from my notes. So we just, if you looked at those, if there's anything we left out. And then we have two meetings. We have the regular airport authority meeting, and then when we conclude that, we'll take a break, and then we're going to an executive session. So we'll put the others and we'll give that. Okay. All right. So, having said that, we can move forward. Okay. So the first item on the list is the minutes. As I said, Mike, did you put in some of the gaps that we had in that?
Oh, yeah,
Okay. So if you had a chance to look at this, if you please let us know if there's anything. Yeah.
I was in attendance.
Okay.
Attendance list.
Okay. Anything else? Any gaps you saw aside from Bill? Okay. I had to fill in the details on all the capital improvement projects. I didn't realize I had completely thorough notes, so some of that was a little bit.
On page 3,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, page 2 of that, in paragraph B at the top,
yeah,
it talks about no tags.
yeah.
You're probably talking about no tags. Is that right? No.
Yes, yeah.
No VA and S.
Yeah.
No tags.
Yeah,
Just a typo.
yeah. Okay. Anything else, anybody? Please, did you see anything? Eagle eye, did you see anything? Sonny? No, Beth, you were away, but you still had a chance to look at them. You can see anything we need to add? No. Okay. All right, well, that's two additions, or one correction and one addition. So put a motion to approve them with those two amendments, please. And Sonny. Okay. All in favor of approving them with those two amendments, say aye. Aye. Against? Abstentions? All right. Thank you. Okay, so then we have Mike's reports. As I said, Darren sent you the June and the July financial. We've got those. Trying to look at those. So, over to you, Mike.
I know Keith looked at him.
Yeah.
He texted me and said, "What's going on here?"
Keep it anxious.
Yeah, June. At the end, June is the end of our fiscal year, so, if we have money available in something, we're gonna try to use it, to do things we wanted to do through the year, but we always say, let's wait till June and make sure we've got enough money to do it. But
I guess it's also, I'm sorry, it's
No, you go
also the farthest off from when you created the budget.
yeah.
To even know what to budget in and everything.
Yeah, it is, you're right. But if you look at the expenses on June, some of them are out of whack. The airport administration, what we did on that $86,000 encompasses, about $52,000, for RS&H design on the parking lot. And, we decided to upfront that cost, which we normally do anyway on most of our projects, just upfront the design. Because if we have the design shelf ready, then when the FAA or GDOT, whichever project it might be, has the money, then we're able to, start on that project right away. And that's why we've been able to do a lot of the projects out here so fast, the 7 years, the main runway was already going, but the second runway, the Alpha, the Bravo, to get all that going was because we upfronted design, and then when the project comes, then we're reimbursed.
Yeah.
So we upfronted that cost, and that came out of that. Also, we got paid, there were 3 pay periods in that month. That hits, so, that's a part of it too. Then you come down to, the 30,000 overage, the variance of, airport services. And so what that is, we had firefighting supplies that we purchased. And remember, this was also coming off the heels of our FAA inspection. So there were some things that we had to purchase in order to, we were already compliant, but we wanted to just be ready for the FAA inspection. So there were some firefighting supplies. That was 7,000. We had contract labor higher than normal because, and that was 12,600. That was mostly because of the FAA inspection as well, getting ready for that, cutting grass, all the maintenance that we did. We use a lot of our part-timers, and they're constantly going. I mean, I saw them one night, they were going through the night, and cutting the grass. What we normally do when we cut the grass, we take sections, we do this and that. We only have like 1 or 2 people. And then we go around, and then we come back to that section after about 2 weeks, and we'll start again. Well, we wanted this whole airport to be looking good grass wise, it wasn't growing over here because we hadn't got that to it back yet again. So we had everybody going, to cut the grass all at the same time and have everything trimmed and weed eated and whatnot. So that was some of that expense. And again, 3 pay periods during the month. Now you come down to the airport maintenance, where we really have a big variance of 259,000. What makes up that is we had to replace the flight center air conditioning unit out here, and that was almost $9,000. The automatic gate out here had to be fixed, and that was about $3,500. And then ER Snell final payment on the 220 runway refurbishment. That was for the design of 220. That was $237,000. Now, that particular amount right there, that just came out of our budget, that we won't get reimbursed for that. Because the way it normally works on a project, if it's an FAA project, we will get reimbursed for design. GDOT, if it's a GDOT project, which is normally a 75%, 25% project, GDOT does not reimburse for design. So that's something that we just had to, just know we were gonna do. Now, we've got money in our bank account, and that's where it came out of, just our bank account. But like I told finance a couple months ago, I said, I hate eating into our bank account. And she said, well, that's what it's for. That's just for you to do projects, and I said, I know, but I hate to eat into it. But we have a good bit of money in there. So, it's not like we're cash poor.
Is the bank account, without getting too much detail, is the bank account additions, your profit according to this? I'm assuming it's not each month that you get that. You get that deposited basically?
Yeah, we have our own bank account, yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically the profit, revenue minus expenses.
Right,
Okay.
right, yep.
Minus whatever you're maybe spending, like you said, on this.
Yeah,
project.
and then, and then also, like our payroll, that, ACC will take that out of our account.
Right.
So we are fully 100% funded, by our revenues. We're not a burden on the taxpayers, and we have, a good amount in our bank account too. So, it all works out. Now, I don't, I'm not willy-nilly, and Devin knows this. I'm very careful You know, I rarely dip into any bank account, you know, but when it's projects like this and it's safety and things like that, you know, then I'm willing. And then especially if we get reimbursed, you know, by the FAA on some of this design. I'm gonna do it, but and I can count on one hand how many times I've done that. But anyway. So that's the, that's the variances, for June. There were some things that hit that, you know, we just couldn't help. And some of them, you know, we just did it in the name of safety. And especially that 220 project, and one of those projects we really needed to get done.
Yeah.
It was in such bad shape.
But Mike, on the revenue side, Jet A fuel is down about somewhere around about 40% versus target.
I would say the slowest month that we have out of the 12, probably June or July. You know, it's a slow month.
And you got the budget flat line, so every month's the same.
Yeah,
So,
right. And I know we want to change that, you know, to make it more, you know, realistic there. Sometimes it's just hard. But as far as, you know, June and July, it's because there's no charters going out. Corporate's slow because they're all taking vacations and doing their own thing. They're not flying much like, you know, they normally do through the other months. But, so yeah, that's the reasoning behind the fuel. But, as we get into this charter, I'm telling you, it's gonna start seeing some good months again, you know, got Marshall this week. They're flying 737-800. And, we'll get some good, you know, good landing fees and services on that.
Yeah.
And then also, I don't know how many people will come in for the game. I know we'll get some, of course, but, we'll just have to see, but hopefully we'll get a good enough amount, you know, to make some revenue. So I know we've already got, I'm getting off a little bit, but we already got a lot of people calling, you know, about the Alabama, especially Texas, a lot of Texas. I will tell you this, what we're considering doing now is, so we don't get filled up, you know, and inundated with a bunch of, large aircraft, especially for Texas. We're gonna put a NOTAM out that restricts, certain types of airplanes with wingspans larger than so much. The reason being is because we've got a lot of calls from large, you know, like Galaxies and, I mean, big aircraft that if they just fly in, we'll be filled up. We couldn't even bring in the smaller ones at all. So we're trying to limit the big ones so that the smaller ones can still come in. And not inundate us with taking up all our space. We did have a meeting with, not Notice Operations, but I'll say this too, but we did have a meeting with, Jessica, the tower chief, Atlanta Center, and, Atlanta Approach. And we all discussed, you know, football season. And, we all came to an agreement, you know, how we would handle things if it got like way out of whack. And how we would do a ground stop and, you know, who would initiate it, that kind of thing. So that was a good meeting, but anyway, I kind of ventured off a bit there, but yeah, so I do expect, some future months to be really much better than June and July. Any more questions on the June one?
I'm curious, like, talking to somebody, they even talk about reservation program or anything like that.
No, we didn't talk about reservation system at all.
I don't feel like the master's like it's a whole thing.
Is that initiated by the airport only?
If they, so,
They do?
yeah. It's a whole,
That's something you and I can talk about.
oh, yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty sophisticated.
is it? No,
They've been doing it for, they were doing it when I was in the control center 30 years ago.
yeah, let's talk about it, man. Yeah, that would be good. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. Okay, looking at the July one, that's kind of more in line, with what we normally see. Again, July being slow. We made 80,000, of course, the actual was 80,000 for the year to date. So, hoping, and I know it will be, August will be much better than the June or July would be. Any questions for July? Moving on to operations. So I talked about the football season. We're getting ready for that. We do have some, UGA students, part-time UGA students that we use for our extra personnel that we need. We anticipate, some of these games are at night. Some of them are 12, some are 3, some are, in the evening. So we have to kind of manage that accordingly. And Russ does a great job in operations, keeping everybody on schedule and where they need to be. We feed them, we, of course, give them water and all the things they need. And it's really a fun day, for all of us. Russ and the UGA students out there. Davin and I, we're here on the bigger games, if they need us. And, most of the time they don't, they handle it just fine. But Davin and I plan on being here, for the Alabama and the Texas game and all that, but it's a lot of fun. But I think we're ready for them. We're starting to get calls and this is how we kind of, I guess, identify what kind of business we're gonna be getting, and what kind of aircraft we're gonna be getting. Because when they call, we have a list and we get their N number and the type of aircraft and whatnot. And so Texas, we've got probably 3 or 4 pages right now going of all these aircraft that are calling. That's way out, still. But, and then, if they don't call as much, we know it's gonna be a light game, which a light game is probably 60 to 70 airplanes. Heavy game, you're talking probably 160. I think I've seen 165 here, and then we're just pretty much just maxed out. That's about all we can do. And, we used to do, drop and goes. Last year, we did drop and goes, where they would fly in, say we were totally full, couldn't accept any more lane and, rather parking. So we just let them drop off, and then they take off and go somewhere else. Well, this year we're not, because what happened last year was they dropped, but they didn't go. They dropped and they decided to shut down engines and just walk away. And, so those folks are gonna make it hard this year for those that wanted to go, because we're not gonna allow it. So they'll just have to go, once we're closed and everything's buttoned up, they'll have to go to another airport. And, do drop and goes there if they want, but, it won't be here, unfortunately. We had one, person say they had Elon Musk on board, and, we're gonna let him in. Elon Musk wasn't on board. But they got in anyway, so, you just gotta do.
If they refuse to leave when they should.
Well, it's not what you can do, especially when I walk away and you can't find them. It's just. I know, right? But anyway, yeah, right. Put a chain on their props. I've done that before. So as far as operations, we've got that well in hand. Capital improvements, projects, right now, we're working on the Taxiway Bravo project. You might have seen it from Lexington. But that one's going along really well. We're starting with the south side first. And that part over there is where we do the total reclamation. So they took up all the pavement. They're digging down to the good dirt. Soon they'll be bringing in, cement and, soil mix. And then put, gravel on top of that, and then some asphalt on top of that. So that will be very, very tight, when they get that all done. We're trying to coordinate it. Every Wednesday, we have a construction meeting. We're trying to coordinate it with the games. Well, we should have all of this done by Texas, as long as the weather holds up. But there are some games that, we're gonna have to kind of juggle around. But they're the smaller games, which is good. Alabama might play a part in this project, but we'll see. So, and what we do with Bravo and 220 is we park mostly the the light corporate twins or the jets, you know, the smaller jets up and down 220. So that's in and out, you know, access, for that taxi or that runway. But, so when we get to the north side of the main runway, that's when we're gonna start having some issues. In getting access to where we park the smaller airplanes on the grass over here. So what we decided to do at our last meeting last week was, shift some of the phases around. One of the next phase was gonna be to do the taxiway close to that grass area. So we're gonna shift that phase to later and start phase over here at the taxiway, which won't impede anything, hurt anything, getting to that grassy area. So we're just gonna change those phases around a little bit. Should work out fine. We, finished design on the parking lot, waiting for funding right now. And, we don't know if it's FAA funding or GDOT funding, so, either way would be good, but we are ready to go whenever that comes about. We, haven't heard anything from the tower folks, but I know they're doing design. I know they're also looking at that area over here where they want to put those antennas in. I think they're still doing some survey work over there. So, when I hear something on that, I'll definitely let you know. Let's see. Am I missing anything on capital down? Anything? Looks like that's it right now. Marketing and outreach activities, you got anything on that?
Yeah, we had the Lead Athens group come and do a tour and have lunch here, and they also hosted a panel, so good session there with them. And then the Chamber Networking lunch was here, so I'm like, of that. And we are beginning to get, now that school's back in session, we're starting to get requests for tours. I know of two that have scheduled. Upcoming. Yeah.
That's all I have.
Mark, just quick question. Parking lot, is it just pretty much gonna be an extension of the same general layout going back that way?
It will, yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. No other connection to the road? To
No.
our airport road, okay.
Yeah.
It'll just be ground level.
Grammar, right.
Any other questions, comments, my comments? Thank you, Mike. Nice. Next item. There isn't actually much of an update, if any, substantive for elections at corridor. It was only an expression of frustration because Derek sent a note saying he tried very hard to get all of us on WebEx for our usual meeting and couldn't. And then he was told, I guess it must have been Jeff Baldwin's office, that, well, no, they're not using WebEx anymore. He has to go and log on Teams. Well, oh, really? What is Teams? None of us know, none of us are connected.
It's a Microsoft product.
Yeah.
Well, none of us is hooked up to it, so there was no update, just the frustration. So, okay, let's share that with you. Under new business, well, we'll be dealing with some of that later on, lower down on the agenda and later. So we can really actually move to these standing committee reports. And Keith, you had just a small extra thought or two on the strategic plan updates you wanted to share, and anything else?
Well, I think it's just that we did, I've made the notes and comments and give you a little bit of some just minor changes from our last meeting review, last review at our last airport meeting of the quarterly review of the strategic plan. So the document was updated very slightly for any little changes that we had. We normally don't add like a lot of discussion notes on the strategic plan document. So anyway, it's updated, and I think, David, you got it. We right, yeah. So I think that's about it.
Yeah, and we still don't know if they're gonna update or renew their goals. ACC,
Well, there's a new manager,
Yeah.
so I haven't heard yet, but I imagine we will soon.
Yeah, sometime, yeah. All right. Anybody have questions or comments about it? When do we do the next one?
The count my factors here, let's see, that one was, July, that one was July, August, September, October. For the quarter in September, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. Operating?
Nothing official, I mean, we've got two things that we're aware of that are working their way through the process, so I think it's going to do. And one of them, I don't think it's going to be much of anything, the other one, especially some interest.
The two.
The two, yeah, I mean, one that's the park.
Set up for your channel. I guess we shared with the.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the Satterfield Park, I think they're gonna convert these baseball fields into some kind of like a soccer field with some stands. Football, yeah, with some stands and lights, and obviously the lights will probably be the biggest concern, make sure that they aren't too tall and they shine down and all that. We cross that bridge when it gets to, sorry, bridges. Satterfield Park, it's like, Girl Point, there, if you look at the map. See all the ball fields down there, to the lower right, the north-south runway, the south end, just to the right.
Right here.
That's the park. It's right off of,
Yeah. Yeah. And you said they've been in touch with you.
Yeah, they're doing preliminary studies right now
Yeah.
to see if it's feasible, and, so I hooked them up with, FA 7464, you know, instructions and things, and so they're in the middle of that right now. That's gonna take a little while.
So it may be a while.
that's the whole instruction evaluation process. So,
Which goes through the FAA, different departments within FAA.
And then the other one was the Euphoria.
Hookah Lounge,
Yeah.
which it's an existing structure, they're just changing what they're gonna use.
Yeah, and we
Yeah, I
haven't seen
yeah.
any sign of that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that's gonna happen.
Smoke. I don't know.
Look, oops, oh, anyway. So. All right, yeah, so we just sit and wait.
Yeah,
Okay,
and then-
but I think when the Satterfield one, it's a good opportunity for everybody to say, well, all right, let's look at the future land use plan. And where does it fit in their recreation and leisure setup compared to the airport and corridor and everything else? So. All right, well, Matt will be the able leader on that. Watch out for things. Okay, on the air service development, marketing committee, Mike, you said that you were just offer some general comments.
Yeah,
And later
yeah.
on, when we have with the subsequent meeting, we'll go into more detail. So maybe Mike can just give us a general thumbnail.
Yeah, you know, we continue to work on the ASD front. It's, you know, we got positive things moving right now. And I've got two things kind of happening, so I don't know, we'll just see how it goes. Nobody stopped talking to me, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts right now, or we have time later to be able to learn? So that's the end of our formal agenda, almost. Any other business? The only thing I can suggest to you is one tiny item, that is, Keith has very willingly offered to run the meeting next month, because I'll be in Canada for a month. And Matt has offered to be, agreed to be sort of backup in case Murphy's Law kicks in for some reason. So, the next meeting is on September 30th. What I have done in the past with Keith and Mike and Sir Devon is, you know, we'll get together and put the draft agenda together and whatever we can. And then when I get to Nairobi, I'll shoot you a note, so you know I'm actually there. I'm not reading down we're leaving on the 10th of September, and we'll be back on the 10th of October. And the only thing I'd say is, you know, if anything happens and as things come through, if you would just include me as always, I won't see them necessarily when we're in the wilderness areas, there's no signal or anything. That's wonderful. And if we happen to pass through an area where there is a cell phone tower, then everything downloads at one time. So if you would just let, like if something comes through and walk in the middle, if you just, CC me on everything as if I'm here and I'm watching, and then from time to time, if we get a signal, I'll shoot you a note. So thank you, Keith, in advance. Thank you. So we can adjourn. I think we've gone through this agenda sequence quite quickly. I will entertain a motion to adjourn the regular meeting.
So,
Okay. And Keith. All in favor of adjourning? Anybody not want to adjourn? No? Okay, well, we'll stand adjourned. And we'll say thank you to Holly. You want to give us a thought or two or anything, Holly? You just here to listen and learn still? Just here listening. Okay, well,
Good seeing you.
always good to see you. And welcome, and maybe we'll see you again.
you will, thanks.
So,
Appreciate the opportunity to listen in.
yeah, so thank you.
Been nice to have you.
Oh, thank you. Right, take it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what I would suggest if we're going to adjourn is, stand up, stretch your legs, whatever, take just a couple of minutes break, and then we'll reconvene
This is
with the closed session.
Diane, I think you said, September 30th.
For the third.
What?
For the, September meeting, I had also, since somebody just brought it up, I had the 23rd.
Yeah, it's the 23rd, it's not the 30th. Yeah, that's the next week. Okay?
You're gonna be here there.
Yeah. I'll be.